It's interesting. I'm driving home, and as most days, as every spare moment, of course, I'm thinking about Walter and Walterology, and me and Dr. Simon. Of course, I'm Dr. Berger or Dr. Matt. We were discussing yesterday Walter's finances. So everyone knows that, according to the text, it says, when Rabbi Polstein says, don't threaten the kids for you have no power, you're just a red-faced dunce making $9 an hour. Now, where do we get the $9 an hour number from? Well, Hillel Cooperman said in almost like a way to praise Walter, he said, Walter makes $9 an hour. Now, this was like 2002, so it comes out to like around minimum wage. Whatever, maybe, I'm sure, Walter had his very successful catering business that allowed him just an entire other full-time career. Like, that makes no sense. Oh yeah, so successful. Sure it is, Walt. But let's say, so we're not dealing with, but I'm going to assume that when he was saying Kaddish at Shul, that he was saying it for Dolik, I think. But Dolik probably left him, or either Max stole the house, MXR, or whatever. Let's say Walter obviously was in Skokie for a long time. Let's say he owned his home, right? Home, obviously took a look on Zillow, worth around $500,000, right? I'm going to assume that, let's say he owns that free and clear, right? Now, Walter spent cigarettes, I think. I don't remember. But Walter did smoke 5 packs a day, right? Which is what? Let's say even at $5 a pack, let's say on average through all the years that it was, even let's say $4 a pack, so $20 a day, right? $20 a day times 365 is let's see, 72, no, that can't be right. $20 a day so that's 600 a month. 600 times 12 is 7,200, right? So around 7,000, let's say, even assuming $5 a pack, and we know it went way up. So $7,000 a year of Walter's salary went to cigarettes, okay? So we also know that he was a drunkard. So I don't know when that started, obviously during or maybe started the metamorphosis, but I would say that, that couldn't have been the cheapest. He had children, things like that. He did drive a very cheap anger van. It was a red Dodge Caravan. It was sort of like a purple, the kind of purple that your face makes when it's being deprived of oxygen. It was the special Walter edition color. But let's say, and obviously we see from the pictures, very obese. Joan D would say, he would eat his father's pastrami, whatever. But let's say he would get free food from Kayatz, right? Let's just say $9 an hour. Let's say even 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day, hypothetically, right? 12 hours a day. I doubt it, but it's 5 days a week, because I don't think he worked Saturday or Sunday. Obviously not, because of Shabbos or whatever. So we're talking, let's say 10 hours a day. So $90 a day, that's $450 a week. So we're looking at about $1,800 a month. Right? Now we can already subtract $600 of that for cigarettes. So we're at $1,200 a month. Now we subtract maybe probably another $200 for alcohol. Right now we're at $1,000. Utilities, everything like that. So maybe childcare, I'm not sure. So maybe let's say his 60-hour-a-week job or 50-hour-a-week job at camp and HTC paid for his, I don't know, basic bills. I don't know. So, and let's say, so he had this second business that was very successful, a catering business, right? Called Simply Simchas. Why? Because it was simple and it celebrated Simchas. Now, that did automatically mean that if somebody like, somebody wanted Walter to do like a funeral, for Shiva, he's like, this isn't simply tragedies, it's simply Simchas. So he kind of limited himself to that like an idiot. Obviously he didn't have a website or anything, but let's say again, hypothetically in the way he had time, let's say hypothetically he made, because I'm sure obviously he stole and and he scrimped on the costs and everything like that. Let's say he made $3,000 a month in sale. Let's say he made $15,000 a year in pure profit. He had to pay, his henchmen like Taco. I'm giving him, so that's assuming half profit. I don't know when he would have time to do that because he was at camp from sunup till sundown or till midnight. And he had to go on trips and stuff. And obviously I would assume you'd have to show up to these places like for a bar mitzvah. You'd have to go and like, I don't know. Let's say $2,000 a month profit, because obviously he didn't spend any money on advertising. Ben Gubernick, on the other hand, he spent all of his profits on advertising. That's a different story. Ben Gubernick was essentially a hideous ghoul who posted a gigantic ad next to Harriet X and Walter X Richman's wedding announcement. So we got, let's say, $2,000 profit. So we have $24,000 profit a year, free and clear, right? So let's say 20 years, just banked it. No emergencies, no nothing. That's $480,000, right? Fine. Okay, and we're not talking like, of all this, we're not talking about medical emergencies. We're not talking about the cost of school, the cost of I mean, where did he send his kids to camp? I'm going to assume it wasn't Kayetz. Like everything, right? Clothes. Let's say again, he just had, throughout his whole thing, through 2016, he had $500,000 cash in the bank. Okay? Fine. Now, instead of going, you know what, I have this, and I have my home, let me just focus on my catering business. Instead, he was fired, for cause, felony 5, conviction for assault of a teacher. And so I assume he I assume he had to pay some lawsuits. I don't know. I assume they didn't give him much of a severance package. What were they going to do? Be like, hey, here's the severed hand of one of the campers. I know it's what you wanted. I don't know. So let's say again, and again, this is an extreme because insurance, everything. He had multiple kids, grandkids. I'm going to assume he lost a lot of his catering business because people are like, hey, what about Simply Simchas? And they're like, isn't that run by the monstrous ogre who assaulted a teacher over soup? And they're like, oh yeah, maybe we should go with complex instead of simply Simchas, that we should call it complex complex events, you know. But then he used that to open up a pizza place. I assume he didn't take it over. I don't think it was a pizza place beforehand. To open up a pizza place, all that must have cost, maybe you got a sweetheart deal on everything. I don't even know. Let's say 300,000. I don't know. Let's say I don't know. But then he was open for 2 years, obviously closed without letting anybody know. So clearly he was losing money. Then magically he became the owner of a bakery. So essentially I would assume he was basically destitute. Then he magically became the owner of a bakery that had been around for 40 years. Like, first of all, how did he have the money? This was a guy that was one of the easiest people to prank call ever. So look, let's say he'd never been scammed. He was hacked, obviously, on his Facebook many times. How did he get the money to buy the bakery? That's what I want to know. Who is going to look at this guy? What bank is going to look at this red-faced idiot and go, yeah, let me lend you $800,000? What? That's the thing that confused me. So, and then he sold it. So, you know, because I was doing taxes yesterday. I was just going over all of these expenses, and I'm like, how did they, if you have a business that doesn't work out and you have a reputation as a violent maniac and you're a drunkard and all the other things, then you're just a red-faced, straw hat wearing complete idiot. Why? What bank? What? You can't buy the bakery. I believe sold for $900,000 relatively recently to a group of businessmen, right? Where did he get? Let's say if he bought it for $600,000-$700,000, he couldn't be like, I have a really skilled history in the food service industry. He couldn't even. He was. Doesn't make any sense. Where did he get the money to buy Tel Aviv Bakery? Also, what kind of a stupid name is Tel Aviv Bakery? It's in the middle of Chicago. It's not in Israel. What were they selling? Fucking borekas? They were selling fucking rugelach. Like, again, but who the hell gave Walter, a broke, deranged, red-faced moron, penniless, all that money?